Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing Thai retirement visas. Kind of an odd question, I think, for some is, are Thai retirement visas created by Thai law? And in a sense, the answer to that could be no. You could argue the answer to that is no, insofar as Thai retirement visas are not specifically laid out in the Immigration Act of 1979. I've done a number of videos discussing the Immigration Act. I'm not going to dig too far into it, but long story short, there are some visas that their categories are explicitly mentioned in that act, most notably business visas, for example, tourist visas is another example, diplomatic visas, things like this. I think even religious visas are specifically delineated in there, although they're kind of a rarity. And off the top, I should state that part about the religious visas kind of off the top of my head. But long story short, retirement visas are not actually mentioned in the act. So where do they come from? Where did they pop up out of the ground like mushrooms? No, in point of fact, there is a stipulation toward the end of the section of the act which pertains to all the visa categories, where it basically says, or any other visa as designated by the ministerial regulations. So the regulations that can be issued by immigration, and which is under the auspices of the Ministry of Interior, to be clear. And so just to clarify this, retirement visas are actually a creature of the regulations, not the law directly. In a sense, obviously they're legal. You know, they're created by law insofar as the law allows immigration to create them, and then immigration created the regulations which deal with retirement visas, but they're not explicitly mentioned in the act. And I've said this more than once, that makes retirement visas on a certain, let me be clear on this. I'm not saying that they're somehow shakier in their foundations legally or anything. Not, in fact, quite the contrary. If anything, actually, because it's regulatorily driven, they're actually more specific in how the rules operate than in some cases, especially when you're dealing with things like business visas. You know, different embassies deal with things very, very differently sometimes with respect to business visas than, for example, retirement visas, because there's more of a regulatory structure that's in place that sort of designates what makes a valid retirement visa, the rules associated with it, etc. But long story short, and the reason for this video is, yeah, and I know it's kind of a semantic point, maybe a fine point, but no, it's not explicitly mentioned in the act. In theory, yes, they could go away tomorrow if the Thai immigration authorities wanted them to. In practice, I do not think that will ever happen for a number of different reasons, most notably because, and this is certainly the case, Thailand derives a lot of benefits from the expat retiree population currently living here in the kingdom.